All right, we're back, and I'm gonna grab my glue, my brush. Now, one thing to make it easier on yourself, once you unpackage it, this is the seat assembly, so it would have been all together. Put your screws in out of your assembly. This, since we're working backwards to you, this is the A side, the B side. So this is the way this assembly is going to go when it's assembled. I like to lay out my parts. So here's my A side. I've checked them. They say A1. A1's right here. So my A's, my B's. That way I don't have to think about it anymore. I can just grab the piece, get it adjusted where I need it to be, and go with it. So here again, you're still going to need your screw. Going to need some glue. Going to put glue on both locations. I'm going to make sure that I have at least one screw out on both ends. Okay. And then I'm going to come down here and line that first one up. Back it out a little bit. Run it down. And I'm going to do the same thing over on this side. Out. Run it in. Now you see my legs are kind of doing this. Make sure they're out straight. Now a lot of times at this point, it may be easier to go ahead and do the one up in the front, and that's going to be A7 and B7. So let's do that. Let's get our assembly good and square. Now just a hair more. Now, remember, put your glue both places. All right, make sure you're in the right spots. And it's always good to take your time. Let's do this side and then we'll do the other. Take your time, do it right. There we go. Sometimes you just got to hold your mouth right. Okay. We talked about leaving the screws just flush with the surface. One, it makes it a little nicer look. It keeps it all uniform. Now, since that one is attached, this should be good. Let's just look at something. Something kind of looks out of whack. Nope, looks good. All right, so we're going to go ahead and screw that one in. Just makes a little neater look. Plus, it's hard to control how deep, if you're going to place something, how deep you want it to be, and make them all consistent and uniform. So if you just leave them flush under the surface, they're not going to be hot to touch when the sun's out on those nice summer afternoons. All right, this is let's go right here. B3, B2. We'll need that one in just a minute. Sure, screws are down, and eventually I will get them all the way down where they need to be. There we go. There again, glue, glue, and this is a type 3 waterproof glue. Now you'll notice this slat is right up against the other slat, and that's where it's supposed to be. It'll be a little snug. And you know what? When you don't pay attention, or you're talking to somebody in a camera, you put the wrong slat in the wrong place. So That is one thing nice. You're not going to make a bunch of extra holes, even if you put the wrong piece in the wrong spot, because all our drilling is uniform, so it always hits in the same spot on the board. So this is the first piece that you need. So it's going right here on top, okay? So we're gonna put those, line those up. I knew something didn't look right, I just couldn't tell you what it was. But we caught it, so that's a good thing. When you're used to assembling things, but you're not having to explain every step, believe it or not, it makes a difference. So, just going to finish screwing these down. Alright, as you can see, there is a gap there. We will have a place where the slats will be touching, but that's not it. Alright. And you're saying, okay, where's this piece go? Where are we putting this one? Alright. This piece is going right on the end. It's going to go right here. Okay? Here again, B1, A1, they're labeled. B1, A1, it's labeled. So, I tell you what, before we do that, think about our method of work here. We've got legs to assemble, and we've got slats. Now we can go ahead and put this piece on, but since we have to bolt two legs in here, it's going to make it hard to attach. A little more difficult. So let's be smart about it. Let's take our markers, and here's I1 and G1. This is your leg assembly. Here's G1. So we're going to, it actually goes over on this side, so I'm going to spin it around. I apologize. We're going to put that there. Now you're going to have some longer bolts. These are the longer bolts than what was in the footstool. So we're going to drop them in. Here again, you've got your square holes that the stove bolt goes into. So you just want to kind of orient them, get them where they're supposed to be. Slide them down. Try to turn this so you can see it. You have a washer and a nut. These are going to be pretty square, so we're going to go ahead and get them pretty hand tight or finger tight. Get the other one on. And we can go ahead and tighten these up. Since they're here, finger tight, and we're going to take our, in this case, a crescent wrench, and we're just going to turn them a couple, 3 times till they're good and snug. There we go. There we go. And you got some resistance, so you know you're good. Now you're going to do the same thing to this one. Okay, so that's good there. Now let's do the same thing to the other side. As you can see, it's starting to take shape. Alright, we got our leg. We got a little arrow showing you this side, this end goes up. I1, I1. We'll run our bolts in. Bolt in there, push them in, spin this around again so you guys can see. Now we're going to put our washers and nuts on. came up with this idea of making chairs several years ago, and just selling them to friends around here. We had some friends down in South Georgia that lives on the lake, asked us if we could make some chairs for them, and we did. And then we had some folks right here on Kentucky Lake that happened to come by and see us making the ones for friends down in Georgia. And they asked us if we could make them some too, so we did. And that was kind of the start of the chair business, something a little unique. Now that we've got these tight, let's go ahead and tighten them up. And got them tight, and then we're going to put our front valance on here, making sure we're in the holes where we need to be. Okay, now we got that. There again, we're going to back it out a little bit and run that screw in. There again, stop and flush. So we made several sets. Had off the bat, had the opportunity to go down to the lake here, which is Kentucky Lake, and got to sit and enjoy with a customer his chairs. And basically that's how we got started doing theme Adirondack chairs. Be something a little different than what everybody else is doing. Here again, glue in between the two screw holes. If you go outside the holes, that's not a big deal. You just don't want the glue running all over the place. Besides the fish chair, besides the fish chair, we offer if you're a UK basketball fan, we offer a University of Kentucky chair, one in painted blue and one unfinished. We offer, as you can see, the chair in any of the general finishes, milk paint colors. We are stocking the red and a blue, the federal blue. There again, glue. It has been a trial and error experience. We, you work on a design and trying to figure out how it's going to work and make sure that it's comfortable. Besides the fish chair, we offer a sailboat chair. We live very near a lake, Kentucky Lake here in Lake Barkley, which are very good sailing lakes. And offer a sailboat chair. Here again, glue. And we have in the works, if you're a motorcycle rider, we have a chair that resembles a motorcycle. Where the fish head is your bat wing fairing, your arm, or your handlebars, and your footstool is your point. Alright, there's our seat assembly. Now we'll take our head assembly. It's a nice thing about working with cypress. It's not very heavy, but it is very durable. Okay, we're going to take our same size bolts that we used on our footstool. So kind of roll that forward for a second. Get our nuts and washers off here. Now this is where it's going to be a little tricky. Let me come around to that side. Here again, this is an area that can be glued together if you want to do that. Certainly not going to hurt anything. Not necessary though. Okay. So sometimes this can be a little more challenging when you've got one person than if you have another helper. So we're going to slide that up, slide the other side up. Find our hole. Get that bolt started. All right, there's one. Go over to the other side. Let's do the same thing. Takes a little patience sometimes. But it's all worth it in the end. There it is. Gonna hold them out just right. Well, as I see it, just gotta get it in there. There we go. We got it. Alright. Now it helps if you've gotten all your bolts over here together. But you can see it's taking shape very nicely. We're going to put our other bolts in. Let's go ahead and put our washer. These, we're just going to hand snug these for right now till we get the arm on. Come over here and do the same thing to the other side. Put our other bolt in. And even when you think it's easy, sometimes it's not. This is where sometimes a hammer, wrong end of a wrench, comes in handy. Sometimes you have to give it a little persuasion. There again, hand tight, so we're good there. Alright, we're well on our way. Now, at this point, we're ready to put our arms on. And I have to apologize. I believe your chair, we ended up making a design change. We ended up using the same screws that we used on the back. But I believe on your chair are 2 Phillips screws. Phillips head's got like an X. And then you should have 2 wood plugs. Alright, so you'll be able to fill these up. So you're going to screw the screws in till they stop. And then you're going to put a little glue around the plug and then just push the plug into the hole. And let it dry 30 minutes. Lightly sand the top if you need to, and you're good to go. Since then, like I said, we have made a design change where we're using all the same screws on everything. Makes it a little less complicated all the way around. Here again, your arm's sticking out. Put a little glue on this because this is going to take a lot of abuse. And a lot of times, it's not even a bad idea to put a little glue on it and then wait 10 or 15 minutes and then put a little more glue on it. Now, the reason you would do that, this is ingrain, and ingrain, think of ingrain as a bunch of straws that you put together. So you've got all the ends sticking up. So you're trying to put glue into the end of those straws. So what happens is the glue just wants to run down. Once that glue kind of sets, it makes a firm surface that you can re-glue over the top of, and it makes a much stronger joint. Alright, now we're back to the back side. And what you're going to want to do here is you've got your 2 screws that you put in earlier, and you should have two screws there, or 2 holes. You definitely want to glue underneath the arm, and you'll want to glue right through here where the arm goes. So one thing you may have to do, because you know this back still moves quite a bit, you may have to push it forward or lean it back to make sure your screw gets into the hole. Okay, so you may have to fool with it a little bit. All right, now that I'm in there, I'm going to back it out a little bit, push it over, run my screws in. There again, making a flush, just for aesthetics. And that's all there is to that. Actually pretty easy. Okay. Same way here. Put glue on it. Wait a few minutes if you want. Go get you a cold beverage or answer the phone. Send a text message. Whatever works for you. Come back, put more glue back on top of it. Make sure you get them right in the holes. Back it out. Let's go ahead and back that one out a little bit. Run them down. Now remember on yours, you're going to run them down until they stop, kind of in that hole. Then you're just going to put some glue on the plug. And just push it down with your finger into the hole. Wait a little while because glue will have a tendency to make wood swell. Lightly sand it off and you're good to go. Here again, same thing. We're going to glue here and we're going to glue here. Get it good and lathered up. We're going to make sure our screw's sticking out and that we're in the appropriate hole. There again, you may have to push that forward or lean it back. Okay. Okay, now at this point we got a chair, but you remember we left these kind of loose. So you're going to want to go ahead and snug these up real good and get them in the appropriate position. Tighten them all up. If you tighten one, sometimes you have to go back and tighten that one with your fingers. And just go around, tighten each set. You're good to go. Then go back and just check these one more time. Just make sure they're firm and good. Then we're going to grab our footstool. And there is your fixture. Ready to go. Now, after it sits outside for 6 or 7 months, or say next spring, if you put it together and set it outside, or even if you don't. You'll want to go back, just tighten up your nuts, bolts one more time. Just make sure that they're all good and snug, because this wood will change. I mean, wood is hydroscopic. It's going to pick up moisture and lose moisture. So just tighten those up. Just keeps the chair together a little bit better. And after that, you should be good. Once it's figured out where it wants to be and gotten adjusted, it should be good. We appreciate you buying a chair from us, and anything that we can do, if you're ever having problems with it, we will do whatever we can to make it right. So we appreciate you, and enjoy your chair. Thank you.